This is Allison Cook-Mincer, Editor-in-Chief of Plan Sponsor, and I'm speaking today with Ryan Cunningham, Institutional Consultant at Arnerich, Massena, about the investment lineup of the future. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Allison.
Let's talk a little bit about this investment lineup of the future. What are some of the key issues and trends plan sponsors should consider when crafting their lineup?
Well, at Arnerich Massena, we feel there's three key issues that plan sponsors should be paying attention to. The first is probably the most obvious. It's the plan lineup itself. What funds are in it, how it's structured. Second would be the active-passive debate. Is there a role for active management in a portfolio? We feel there is. And third, and this is probably more of a trend than an issue, is the role of ESG or impact investing in a portfolio and how that makes sense.
Let's look at your three items. The first is diversification. How can a plan sponsor provide enough diversification to participants without creating an overwhelming menu of options?
Well, ERISA really doesn't provide a whole lot of guidance on what the proper level of diversification is, so it's up to the plan sponsor and their consultant to make that determination. Initially, we saw plans that had as little as 3 funds, a stock fund, a bond fund, and a cash fund. And then the industry swung all the way to including almost every kind of option you could imagine, specialty funds and such, which would lead potentially to paralysis of choice for participants. So now I think we're at more of a middle ground. At Arnerich Massena, we break participants into one of 3 groups. We start with the do-it-for-me group, which they tend to be reluctant to make a decision to invest on their own. They'd like to maybe make one choice and then forget about it. Then you have the help me do it group. This group is interested in investing, but they want guidance. And then you have the do-it-myself group, and they want lots of choices and lots of freedom.
How does this work in practice?
Well, in practice, the key is to make sure that you provide the participants with the ability to self-determine which group they're in, and then make sure you've given them the tools or investment options to be successful. So for example, if you start with the do-it-for-me group, you have maybe a suite of target date funds or model risk funds. They can make one determination, set it and forget it really, and it's a nice simplified, diversified choice. It's also easy for them to select the appropriate option, typically based on their age and the name of the fund. For the Help Me Do It group, a simplified menu makes a lot of sense. So here maybe you start with a bond fund, a large cap stock fund, a small cap stock fund, and an international equity fund, and maybe 1 or 2 more choices depending on the demographics of the group. In order to still maintain diversification, this is where the concept of white labeling comes in. So in white labeling, maybe the participant only sees small cap equity, for example, but underneath there is a small cap growth strategy, a small cap value strategy, and maybe a small cap core strategy. So you're getting that diversification across the board, but you're still keeping it simple for the participant. And then for the do-it-myself group, you're providing them with a self-directed brokerage option. So basically, if they feel strongly enough for a vocal minority that they want to make that determination outside the plan, they can. And that tends to be a fairly small group, and some plans don't have that group at all.
Your second plan sponsor consideration was management style. Is there a place for active management in participant-directed retirement plans?
There's a place for both active and passive management. Every plan is different, every plan is unique. But in general, we feel at Arnerich Massena that passive management makes a lot of sense where the market is efficient, areas like large cap equity. Active management makes a lot of sense in areas where there's an opportunity to outperform the market, such as small cap equity or international equity. For the most part, we recommend our clients utilize both in combination. Active where there's an opportunity to add value.
Your third issue was investing trends. How do you see these being incorporated into the investment lineup of the future?
Well, the Department of Labor recently provided guidance saying that sustainability can be a criteria as far as selecting a fund for a DC lineup. So with that in mind, we're seeing a lot of ESG or social impact or socially responsible investing interest within defined contribution plans. Participants often, or plan sponsors often ask, how can I still do that within a lineup and keep it simple yet keep it diversified? And that kind of comes back to the white label structure that we talked about earlier. Maybe you incorporate an ESG fund into that white label. But whatever the plan sponsors decide to do, it's important that as they look at these issues and trends, that they keep the best interests of the participants in mind at all times.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Allison.
This is Allison Cook-Mincer, and you've been watching my interview with Ryan Cunningham of Arnerich Massena.